Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream class. In today's live stream, we're going to be making sticky coconut eggs for Easter. And we're using some really simple ingredients. For those of you who have taken my natural caramels classes, you can use any of those caramels as well. So I've tested it using the orange caramel, which makes a really nice coconut orange egg. I've used date caramel as well with cardamom in it, and that goes really nicely together too. It's really simple ingredients, and if you're making the caramels yourself, it's kind of infinite flavor possibilities as well. This makes a kind of bounty, sticky coconut kind of result. So I'm just going to talk you through the ingredients first. The recipe for this is on my website, and I've linked to it in the caption under the video here. So this is the condensed coconut milk that I'm using. You can use any kind of condensed milk that you'd like. And when you open it, let's say you have it at room temperature. I have a pretty cool room temperature. It's going to be kind of, you can see that it holds shape, and it's like sort of a mass from the refrigerator. So it's quite firm and a little bit difficult to work with when it's like that. So all I've done is I warmed a pan, and then I put in what I'm going to be using in today's class, and it just makes it go to this kind of silky, much easier to work with, and certainly a lot easier to mix with the coconut when it's like nice and liquid like this. So all you have to do is warm a pan, put it in there, and it'll turn to a liquid pretty quickly. So the mold that I'm using, this is just, I got this years ago from TK Maxx. Over here it's called TK Maxx. In the States it's called TJ Maxx. And it's just like a little half sphere mold. Silicone, so it just pops right out. And it's really just to form them. So you don't have to use a mold like this. You could just roll them into balls or roll them into like sort of an egg shape. You don't have to use this or any other kind of silicone mold that you want to use, you can do. So put this aside for just a moment, and we're going to look at getting our ingredients combined, which again, very easy. So this is a medium cut coconut, which is not the same as like a fine coconut. So this has quite a lot of texture to it, and it's the fine cut is like a little bit sandy as far as I'm concerned. I don't really like it so much, but this has a nice chunky kind of texture to it, so it has a better texture overall. And then I like to do ratio-wise, this is 30 grams of coconut, and this is 50 grams of the condensed coconut cream. Because if you do equal portions, it gets quite dry, and I like keeping it a little bit more on the sticky side. And then the other thing that I'm going to use is a medicine flower dark vanilla extract. You can use any kind of vanilla. Vanilla bean would be really nice here, vanilla powder as well, but it goes really nicely with the flavors that you have in here. And then you're going to mix it. Now, really mixing it with your hands is the best way to go, because mixing it with the spatula, it's very sticky, the mixture. So you kind of press it and squish it, and it's going to be quite, what's the word? It's kind of like this at the start. Not an easy one to work with. You can feel the dryness of the coconut at this stage, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to hold together. It kind of feels quite wet. So this is not the stage that you would work with it. I mean, you could, but it's not a very nice stage to work with it from. So this, I did this in advance yesterday. You really just need a few hours. So what happens is the coconut absorbs the moisture from in this case, the coconut, the condensed milk. If you're using one of the caramel recipes that we do, sorry, just turn the volume down a bit. If you're using one of the caramel recipes, again, similar situation. You want to have it at room temperature. Room temperature for anything to marinate, soak, etc., is the best because it absorbs quite well at room temperature. So I'm going to put this to the side, 4 hours, whatever, and when you come back to it, it'll look more like this, where it's like more of a dough at this point, versus it being kind of like this non-stuck together kind of mass. So this is a much nicer to work with. So from here, you could pinch a little bit off and roll it into kind of like shapes, kind of shape it into sort of an egg shape. I'm not so good at doing the egg shape by hand, hence using the mold, but something like an oval shape like that is quite cute. In fact, I might just try to do a few like that because that's quite cute. And if you want them to be the same size, just use your scale when you do this. I'm not bothered if they're just slightly different from one another. And then if you wanted to, when you're done, when you go to do the enrobing part of it, you could do some chopped nuts, some roasted almonds would be really nice with this. And although these are like a sort of Easter theme, you know, because it's Easter time class sort of thing, you can obviously do this at any time of year and shape it however you want. So if we use the mold, and because it's so sticky and like firm at this point, you could also roll it out and cut it with a cutter if you wanted to. But for this, we're just using this to form it. So it just goes in like that, and then you can pop it right out, and then you have this sort of egg shape like that. Maybe you could put two sides together, perhaps, you know, have a little play, see how it goes. I can see we have a couple people on. If you'd like to say hello, I see a comment. Let me just grab this. Sorry, one sec. Amy, we are getting recipes. Are we getting recipes? And where did you purchase the egg mold? So the recipes, there's a link under this video on YouTube that will take you to the recipe on my website. And the mold I got from a place called TK Maxx here in the UK. It's just a pretty inexpensive, I got it years and years ago, probably 10 years ago. It's a really inexpensive mold. So I'd probably, if I was you, I might go onto something like Amazon or just online generally and look for like an egg, like a half egg silicone mold. That should bring that up for you. And then when we're done here, like these are quite firm, so you don't need to wait to, hello Claudine and welcome. Thank you for coming. You don't need to wait for these to become firm because they're already firm. So we're going to go ahead and dip these in chocolate. Now, for those of you who are on live, if you'd like to let me know, what's your tempering experience? Do you temper your chocolate? Would you rather do something more like a chocolate coating for these? Are you willing to sacrifice that they're going to be, you know, the chocolate's not going to be stable at room temperature to the not temper? Where are we at with that, please? Another thing I'm going to be using here in a moment is some sprinkles. And these sprinkles are from a company, they're made by a company called Honeyberry here in the UK. And they are colored using natural colors from freeze-dried fruits and vegetable powders. And they're really lovely. They have loads of different types of them. Single colors, mixed colors, etc. I'll show you the bag. This is also linked in the recipe on my website, so you can check those out. Okay, so we're going to temper some chocolate, and I'm going to be using cocoa butter silk to temper the chocolate, which is just a tempering aid. And I have some videos on YouTube, on my website. I've got free live stream on how to make cocoa butter silk if you want to do it yourself. Just going to put a little bit. We don't need tons of chocolate for this. Maybe about 150 grams or so into a pan. And we're just going to start to lower the temperature. Moving that around the pan to lower the temperature. And when we're using cocoa butter silk, we just need this to come down to about 35 to 36 degrees. For a small amount like this, I'll probably add it at a lower temperature. And then we'll add in our silk, mix it through, and then the chocolate is ready to use. So let's just see where we are here. I would like to use silk to temper. Fantastic. What do you temper chocolate at the moment, or are you? What's happening with that? What's the method that you're using currently? I'm just going to put this in a bigger bowl to bring the temperature down faster because it's a little bit on the warm side for me. And where are you located? What country are you in? Because in the UK, there's a couple places you can get it. I sell cocoa butter silk. You can make it yourself. So I have a free live stream on how to make it yourself if you want to do that. But you can also buy it if you don't want to make it yourself. Some people feel a little bit daunted at the prospect of making it themselves. just going to adjust the light to see if we can get a bit more light into the actual bowl itself. I've just moved into a new property. I'm getting used to lighting for videos to try and get it as good as possible. A little bit tricky. In this space, there's a really high ceiling, so the light sort of gets swallowed up by all the space. So this is at 38 degrees, so we're getting pretty close. Anytime you want to temper chocolate, you want to lower the temperature fast. Get it into a large vessel where you can really move it around. Stainless steel is good because it's cold and it retains the cold quite well. And little, small amounts of chocolate like this will lower quite quickly if you get them into a large bowl. Okay, so we're getting close. That was at 37. I'm going to bring this down just a bit more because it's a small amount of chocolate. It's not going to take long for the silk to melt through. Okay, so that's at 35. And you add 1%, and I'm using a sort of microplane style. It's not a microplane, but a style of microplane grater here. And then press the silk through. You want to get this pressed through and kind of like maybe mush is a good word, because you want the heat from the chocolate to melt that butter. And if the chocolate isn't warm enough, it won't melt it and you'll end up with little flecks of cocoa butter in your chocolate. So from here, that's now tempered chocolate. And that's how easy it is. And then from here, you kind of just need to keep it in temper. So it really depends on what you're going to be getting up to. I use a heat gun to keep it in temper. You might see that while we dip the chocolate. You might not, because we're not doing a whole lot. It's just something that you use to kind of keep it nice and fluid as you're working. So we're going to grab out our dippy things. And here's our dippy things. After your day course, I made it, but honestly, not sure I got it right. Well, the best way to test silk to see if you got it right or not is to do temper a batch of chocolate. And if it's tempered, then you did it well. I think that's probably one of the reasons people don't want to make it themselves, is this kind of like, I don't know if it worked or not, but the only way to tell is to give it a go and see if it worked. I mean, honestly, I know it sounds a bit silly, but it's really the only way to know for sure. Good morning, Lisa from Las Vegas. Las Vegas. We used to go to Las Vegas when I was a kid. I don't know. I don't know how much chocolate I tempered. Maybe 200 grams or so. So, move this up, move this up. So I'm going to start with the sort of semi-flat ones. I'm going to drop it into the chocolate. I'm going to flick chocolate over the top of it. I'm going to fish that out. Tap it on the side of the bowl. And then we're going to get that out into a bowl of our sprinkles here. And I'm going to go with just doing the bottom, the very base of this, because it looks kind of cute. Clean your dipping fork. And then we just kind of go in and grab that out. Oop, come on then, buddy. There we go. So that's one way of doing it. And because this bowl is quite large, we'll probably end up using the heat gun. So you'll see that. Some people use a hair dryer. That's another way of doing it. And then with this one, if you want less sprinkles on there, just get that onto our tray, little assist from another fork. And then you can just sprinkle some sprinkles on top. So, do it however you want to do it. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. You can find a way that you really like to do it. So let's have a pause and just take the temperature of our chocolate, see where we are. So that's 30 degrees. That's okay. I'm happy with 30 degrees, so we'll keep going. And then I'm going to do one of these more egg-shaped ones. And for this one, I think I'm going to coat it in the sprinkles completely. Didn't choose the best bowl for this, but it'll work fine. And then I'll let that sit for a moment to just settle those sprinkles around the outside, so I'm not going to disrupt it. I'm going to go to the next one, and before we drop the next one in, we'll take that one out. Let's do this. Good. Try that again. Generally, I would use a lot more chocolate than this. I wouldn't work with this small amount of a chocolate, but given I'm not really doing a whole lot, like there's not much here, it's kind of fine to do this much chocolate. I can see that it's starting to get thicker because it starts to set around the base of the bowl and the sides of the bowl. So I'm going to apply some heat in just a moment here. Get that guy coated, put it to the side, and then let's get a little bit of heat going here. So heat gun or hair dryer, you can do sort of around the surface. And then you want to get the bottom of the bowl because that's where the chocolate, that and the edges is where it sets first. So we don't want to heat it too much. You're going to take it out of temper. We just want to warm it enough that it's more fluid and it starts softening around the edges of the bowl. If this was in the first bowl that I was using, that smaller one, it wouldn't be set lowering in temperature so quickly, but it's a very large bowl and a very small space, so it does lower quite quickly. And then this you can take out, and we'll do this. And notice how I'm tilting the bowl, which gives me a larger body of chocolate to work with. Lisa asks, where is the best buy on chocolate to temper? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. You mean where's the best place to buy chocolate to temper it? Oop, I guess we're dipping that whole one. I was trying to look at the screen and do that simultaneously, and it didn't work out so well. Okay. Yeah, I'll need some clarification on that question. I don't understand what you're asking. Sorry about that. If you're asking where the best place is to buy chocolate to temper, any chocolate that's proper chocolate, that's made with cocoa mass of some kind and cocoa butter, doesn't really matter what the sweetener is, but as long as it is, when I say proper chocolate, I mean like made correctly, not like chocolate that's made with, I don't know, maple syrup that you buy at like your local health food store, for example, but something that would be more considered chocolate couverture. As long as you have that, you can buy any chocolate that you like. So if there's a particular chocolate that you really like, that has ingredients that you like and is at a price point that you like, then I would say get that and give it a go. So here are our little coconut eggs. And then when chocolate is tempered, it does need time to fully crystallize. So we handle these eggs now. They're not going to be fully crystallized, but I'm going to open one up so you can see mine. If it melts in my hand, it's because it's not crystallized yet and my hands tend to be a bit warm. So I'll just clean the surface down before I do that so it's not a mess here. And Lisa has said, yes, not crazy about the chocolate I have purchased on Amazon. Oh, I see. Well, a safe bet is always like the larger companies, Lindt, Valrhona, Callebaut. It really depends on what it is that you're wanting your chocolate to have in it. Like, do you want it to be sweetened in a particular way? Things like that. So, and in the States, I'm not 100% sure where you can get other options. Like over here, I know there's places you can get chocolate that's sweetened with coconut sugar in bulk, but I don't know in the States. I mean, there has to be. If you can get it here, you got to be able to get it in the States as well. So maybe do a little search and go outside of Amazon I've been hearing people recently talking about how Amazon in the States, they're not happy with the things that they're getting. Like the quality isn't very good. So you might consider doing a little search and just finding someone that produces chocolate, like in a grinder or whatever, and that you're happy to buy and that you like the ingredients of, and going with that. I haven't found a favorite. I gotcha. Yeah, I can't be too much help with regards to the States, but there might be other people on at the moment that can help, that can suggest something that maybe they like that's in the States. Right, so let's do an egg. Let's do one of these guys. So already I can feel the firmness of the coating, really nice. We'll try and get a close-up. Let me just see how this goes. We need to go right in for that. There we go. And you got that like sticky, it kind of somehow reminds me of marshmallow a little bit, this filling. It's really lovely. Thin chocolate shell on the outside, really important. And it's just a beautiful little egg. So those are our eggs for today. Anybody on live, any questions, anything that you'd like to ask that is either related to this or unrelated to this? We can hold fire for a minute or so. If you'd like to ask anything, I'm happy to stick around for a bit. I'm going to get the chocolate melted out of the bowl, but feel free to ask any questions. And if not, thank you so much for coming. And like I say, let's try that again. The recipe is on my website. The link is under this video. It should be there. I'll check it again after the class. I know I put it there, but I don't know exactly where it appears on YouTube. And you have the full recipe there, and that's it. Yeah. So if you don't have any other questions, we'll end there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and a wonderful Easter. Bye-bye.